Chat, subscribe to the fl0m Clips and Highlights channel. Thank you. Valve cancels MRQs ahead of Budapest Major, which this is... Don't know if I'm really a fan of this one. Valve has decided to scrap the MRQs in all regions, so they already removed the RMRs. They're removing MRQs. So basically, if you're not keeping up to date, Valve removed the open qualifiers entirely. Okay, so you couldn't average Joe could not sign up for tournament and go in, which I definitely that never really happened, but it was still a cool idea. MRQs, I liked them. Basically it's a qualifier for the major that you build up through VRS points. In a statement on Starladder's website, we standardized community events so that they can be integrated with the majors. At this point, we believe that a separate qualification process for the major is both unnecessary and disruptive. Basically, they're saying these MRQs take too long, and we want people to be able to run more tournaments. And if we're already running these tournaments, they should act as the qualifier for the major, right? That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that is that's not bad logic. The problem with this is right now VRS and this shit is not really flushed out. Therefore, we made the decision to cancel the fall MRQs. So they announced the MRQs late, and then also the other problem is the timeline of all of this. They basically, guys, so everybody else has got to announce all their tournaments all throughout the year, but then the major is late, and then the major MRQs were overlapping with other shit. We're doing this thing where okay, that's fine and all, and this makes sense, but also the execution of this is really buns. Therefore, we made the decision to cancel the MRQs. Instead, 32 teams participating in the major will be directly invited from the VRS. MRQ major was slated to be held in Europe, Asia, and Americas. These dates created a scheduling conflict with 3 big LAN events. That's because you fucking announced everything so late, though. Which this is a big deal. Yeah, I get not wanting to disrupt these tournaments that are going to exist and provide valuable VRS for teams, but they literally created this problem. I feel like that's a little misleading. They're yeah, we're doing this thing where it's it's good, and it's yeah, it is, but it didn't have to be this way to begin with. Let's see, MRQ were introduced at the start of the year. They're just describing MRQs here. The key difference between the MRQs and their predecessors, the RMRs, is that they could be held online, which was the case for the Austin Major. Yeah, I guess that's probably another thing is a lot of these tournament organizers logistically don't want to set up MRQs because it's really fucking hard to run 3 simultaneous events across the globe. It remains under this how this new change will affect regional distribution of major slots. Yeah, I don't think it's changed yet. Following the results of the first 2 stages, Asia was supposed to have an extra slot in Budapest at the expense of the Americas, correct? 10 instead of 11, while Europe was retain its slots. According to Starladder, further updates about the invite distribution will be provided. Oh, so there's going to be more changes. There are a lot more intelligent people that I follow that have kind of already poked holes in why this is bad. And it's not necessarily once again, it's not really that their logic is flawed. And are they really necessary to host the MRQs? Maybe not. But there's other shit. Here you go. Between unnecessary, except yeah. So this is the big thing is I think, and as usual, I always bring up Messioso because he's done this shit for a while and he kind of knows what he's talking about. He's a tournament admin before he's a GM for Cole CS, but he knows what he's doing, which is basically it's short version. He's this isn't bad, but it's not flushed out, right? And he's also asking if Valve is going to do this, they need to be more on heavy-handed. Yeah, and this is the type of shit that could happen, right here. Basically, they are giving exceptions to people. They're really they're just letting the tournament organizers, there's supposed to be a standard, chat, but there's not. There's supposed to be a standard for tournaments, and because VRS is so new, and because they don't really have anybody full-time, I feel 100% running this, it can create bad situations for VRS where people can then maybe potentially manipulate the system. It really is. There's a common theme. It's not necessarily bad logic, but it's flawed. But to wrap this up, they created this problem. They're now providing a solution that isn't really a solution that also hampers certain teams from being there. I think if I remember right, just to give you an idea of teams that would be impacted that are still playing, that Lin Vision team that you guys like, I believe Ty Lu as well came through. You wouldn't have some of these stories without the MRQ. So I don't think it's bad. And for people that are saying it's not truly open, it hasn't been for a little while, but that's a good thing, actually. I do think it's good. I do like the idea that teams that play Counter-Strike professionally throughout the year are rewarded for their work for the major. The major is supposed to encapsulate everything, and like you're supposed to be, it's supposed to be like, this is the big event to cap off each half of the year. Like you're supposed to like not just show up and like fluke your way in, and like, and first off, that's not happen. Like that's like not really a thing that happens. People don't just show up and like do an open qualifier and make the run. That doesn't happen really. So like holding on to that idea is kind of dumb, and then simultaneously it just kind of punishes teams that have played the whole year. And oh man, you've done really well all year, but you actually just fucked up and lost this one best of 3 online is kind of just feels bad. It adds to the drama for sure, and I get to make more YouTube videos usually because of it, but I don't necessarily agree with it. But I think the way they implemented it for this is, obviously they were like, oh my god, we're dumb. this just feels like, hey, we forgot to announce the major, and we're really bad at planning our own major events, even though we make everybody else announce their shit like 2 years in advance. We're personally only going to go like 3 months in advance. Oh no, the MRQs are at the same time as these other events that we made them announce already. Well, we'll just get rid of it. All good, guys. It doesn't make sense. It's like, well, fuck. Anyway, so subscribe to the fl0m Clips and Highlights channel. That's where we'll leave it.